Welcome everybody to All In 2025 May version. What is it? The fourth one in this month, I think. It'll be May
Yeah.
29th when you guys actually see this. And we're going to talk about like really knowing when it's time to make a change. Really listening to your own voice when maybe you've been working on something or trying something or doing something for a long time and you keep trying to retool it and you keep trying to find more information and see and sometimes you can solve it, sometimes you can pivot to be able to shift the business in a direction that really feels good to you, but sometimes you just have to look in the mirror and go, am I happy doing this? Is this what I want? And I think we all go through that. And sometimes it feels like, we're going to just keep trying and trying and trying and trying. And trust me, I've been a 35-year entrepreneur. So I understand it. I understand the trying and trying and trying. I'm going to make this thing work. I'm going to make this thing work. And I know that it feels like changing what you're doing, shifting what you're doing, or pivoting into something else feels like a failure, but it isn't. It isn't a failure. Because if there's something that you are really passionate about and you really want to bring that into the world, then you will find a way to do it. But if you are not passionate about it, or or the passion is gone, or you feel less passionate about it, I mean, that's kind of what's happened in my life in many ways. Um, it's okay to let go. It's okay to shift and still be all in 2025, but you're shifting into really listening to your own voice, really listening, is this me? And the conversation Paul and I had, and then I'll shut up. I also said, I've gotten into a lot of ChatGPT training lately, and it's easy to go down a rabbit hole with ChatGPT, right? And you put in all this stuff and it's like, help me come up with stuff, and it's a great tool. Love it, right? But what I'm finding is that sometimes chat GPT affects my confidence. And the reason it affects my confidence is because it gives me all kinds of options that then I start to go, oh, maybe I should do that. Oh, maybe I should do that. Oh, maybe I should do that. And then you go down this rabbit hole and you're constantly inputting more stuff and you get more stuff. And then you've got pages and pages and pages of stuff from ChatGPT. And now you got to do something with all of that. So you do. And then you come back later, a day later, 2 days later, 3 days later, and you go, this isn't me. This is someone's idea of me. So I'm on a soapbox today, it seems. But I do feel like we are bombarded with so much sometimes, and we're always trying to do the thing we think we're supposed to do, that we lose ourselves. We lose ourselves. I'll stop there, Paula.
No, this was good. This was good. Here's what I'll say. I think one of the things is when let's just start what we talked about, is if you're not happy doing whatever it is, just whatever it is, it is okay to change. It's okay to pivot. It's okay. It's okay. And it really does take courage to say that. It takes courage to do it. It takes courage to change, and it's not easy. But what I will definitely say is you want it to be your own voice. So whether it is a person, whether it's I call ChatGPT Aunt Chatty. Y'all, yes, I call her Aunt Chatty. Whether it's Aunt Chatty, whether it's whatever, it's making sure that whatever you're doing, it's your voice. And so it's interesting you even talked about ChatGPT and how I use it. It's my voice. There have been times I've literally said, "Yep, that's not me." And we go back and yes, we go back and forth. But it's very clear about, yep, I need to make sure it's my voice. But more importantly, in decisions that we're making, in choices, in the things and how we show up, it is so important to make sure it's you. Um, People will always have opinions about what you should be doing. I can't remember if I've talked about this before, but I've literally have had coaches tell me, one coach would say, you need to be on every single social media platform so you're covering all the bases. And then I had another coach within 2 days saying you should only be on one and figure out what it is. It should be LinkedIn. I remember thinking to myself, are you kidding? I respect both of these coaches, but talk about such different advice, right? And so I took the advice for myself and said it'll be a combination. I'm not going to be on all, I'll be on some. But I remember just thinking that that's somebody's opinion. And so anything that we're doing and what you're choosing to do, it's not always easy, but go back to what you want to do. I think so often we're doing things that we think the world is telling us to do or is telling us to do, and it doesn't serve us well. I was just saying that I'm trying to finish up this book, not try, I am finishing up my book on authenticity, and I will be done by the end of this month. I'm going to get this book done, but recognizing that we just need to be authentic with ourselves and true to ourselves. And I'm not saying, and I say this all the time, it's not always easy what we're saying, but you got to try. You do. Because if you don't, you're going to always wonder what woulda, shoulda, coulda. And it's not easy. And I think there's such power in being able to say it's okay to change and it's okay to pivot.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and
it's
I
okay
think
to
it's okay to sneeze when you need to sneeze. Bless you, my dear. I yeah. I Here's the other thing I was just thinking about as you're talking, and that you're writing your book on authenticity, right? Which I can't wait to read, by the way, and buy. And I think that it's going to be a great book. To your point, I am a writer, right? I've written screenplays. I'm a songwriter. I write copy. I do all of that, right? And I
Yep.
started using
Yep.
ChatGPT a lot because it was sort of in this mastermind group I'm part of, and there's training, which is great. I'm learning a lot about how to use it, which is wonderful. However,
Yeah.
what it has done to me, or for me, or not for me, is made me maybe try to take the fast way to my copy, right? Instead of, I used to enjoy writing the things that I put on my
Mm,
website as far as like the copy I had and the marketing that I used and the stuff that I did. I
yeah.
enjoyed kind of doing that. And while I do believe ChatGPT is a huge time saver on so many levels, so I'm not saying don't use it, but I do think that sometimes we use it to sort of fast track our way to answers, to our branding, to who we are, to our
Yeah.
marketing, and all of that. And I, like I said, it's a tool.
Yep.
I'll be
Yep.
honest, I think I started using the tool too much to the point where it actually made my anxiety like kick in, because I was like, oh my God, it should be that. Oh, well, maybe it should be that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I forgot who I was. And I was literally going back to some of my early messaging when I shifted into this business, and I was like, that was really good. Why did you change it? So I think sometimes we start to think that our voice and the thing we have to say isn't enough, isn't right. But I'm going to leave you with this from me anyway, because this is how I'm feeling today, is make sure, just consider making sure that when you read something that you are representing yourself with, does it
Mm-hmm.
feel like you? Does it feel like your voice? Does it feel like a conversation you would have
Yep.
with somebody that you want to work with or whatever work you're doing? Because I think it's so easy to find ourselves, like to Paula's point, taking advice. And I think we touched on this a couple weeks ago, taking advice from 30 different places, and you just feel like you're like shiny object syndrome and squirrel, and and it's like, where do you find your
Yep.
signature in that? Where do you find your thing? So I'm going to encourage you to attempt, it's my assignment, to get off ChatGPT just for like a few days. Don't use it for content, and write your own and see how that feels. Because that's what I'm going to do.
All right. Go ahead, girl. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. But I want everybody else to do that. Go ahead and do that, y'all. But I love the assignment. I love the assignment. And here's what I will say, because she's right. And so there's something to be said for that. And I'll just leave with this. is that actually is a great assignment. I think for me, I do write all my stuff, and all I use it for is just can you grammatically correct it and just make sure there's no crazy stuff. But it's funny though, even with that, you know, I used to spend way too much time. I would literally spend a day on one post and edit it 1,000 times. And what I found was that gave me anxiety because it had to be perfect. And what Aunt Chatty does for me is takes the post and just grammatically correct it for me. And I know that's part of my upbringing. My mom was a teacher, and so she would always get on me about the English stuff. And so I have my own issues I have to deal with. So for me, it's not about writing it for me. It's just can you just correct this? But I like the assignment. I do. Here's what I'm gonna leave people with. I want you to just focus on honestly being clear about, do you need to pivot? Do you need to change? Do you need to do something different? It's okay. Don't let all the voices make you feel like your choices or your decisions are bad. It's your voice. So going back to your voice, make sure it's your voice that is driving your decisions. I know it's easy for others, whether it's a friend, a spouse, a child, a parent, whatever, a boss can influence you, but make sure at the end of the day, the choices you decide to make this week in particular, try to make sure it's you and it's not somebody else. Again, influence is okay, but just make sure that your decisions is what you want to do. All right, you all?
All right. Thanks for the
See
wrap
ya.
up. All right.
Bye, you all.
Bye.